Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I am Ricky Lee 99 and we are doing things a little differently this time. Since we're all under the COVID lockdown, I decided to get a couple of my friends together so that we can chat about how freelancers are surviving these COVID troubles. So, enjoy the chat, I guess. This is Mark, Brian, who can introduce themselves, and we're going to talk about how freelancers are surviving COVID or not. Anyway, why don't you guys just introduce yourselves?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian. Brian Dote. I'm a mobile app developer. Build iPhone apps, tablet, iPad apps, Android apps, web apps, kind of anything in that space is what I design, build, develop. Love working with startups. Love working here in Hawaii. I'm based out of the Entrepreneur Sandbox, which I haven't been able to see for a while since we're working from home. But kind of a member of the startup community, especially as it relates to tech and mobile.
How's it, everybody? My name is Mark Soeda, and I'm a digital marketing consultant. I work with AdStreams, which is a social media agency. And I also have my own consulting company called Digital Crunch. So basically, I help businesses out with any of their digital marketing needs, consulting them on things like social media marketing, website design, digital advertising, SEO, you name it, whatever they need. I try to bring the team together to kind of help them out and make sure that we hit their objectives.
A disclaimer, I work with Mark also at AdStreams, and you might remember him from the Old People Review Consoles video.
Oh, I must watch that.
The retro, right?
Yeah, the retro consoles. Yeah. So, how are you guys surviving?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, because
I think the future is pretty unknown right now.
That's true.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, most of my consulting these days it's not. There's no consulting these days. It's everyone's just working from home, so no one needs me to come into a server room to do anything. Or if it's on the photography side, nobody's outside needs pictures, so that's completely dead. If not for my two other jobs, I would have no income.
Wow. So. Wow. What about you, Mark? How's your what does the outlook look like for you with your digital crunch?
Yeah, you know what? I think, well, one thing's for sure, right? Right now, what we're looking at is, everyone keeps talking about the new normal. And the new normal is still being shaped right now. And this whole thing with COVID and staying in place and working from home and distance learning and all that, I mean, it's accelerated. I mean, everything that's been leading up to now, in terms of technology, in terms of our reliance on digital communications, digital technology, everyone always talks about how this is the future, right? I mean, the future is really the present, but this situation is completely just accelerating all of that. So you're looking at people, forget about age demographic now, right? Usually it's always, well, you got to be kind of techie to be able to do something like Zoom. Well, right now, but everyone's doing Zoom, right? Everyone from your parents to your auntie and whatever. I was telling Ricky before we got on that today alone, my son, who's 4 years old, had a Zoom call with his preschool, right? So the whole class got together and the teacher is doing a Zoom. So they're all doing their morning meeting, their songs, their warm up, all together. So I pop in front of the computer, he's doing Zoom and he's totally comfortable with it now. In the other room, my wife is doing a WebEx call because she's a teacher, at a high school. So she's teaching her students Japanese, and then I'm in the other room on my computer trying to get my emails done and trying to, upload stuff and what have you. So, the whole idea of telecommuting and stuff, when we come out on the other side of this thing, it's going to be so different. And all the paradigms, that we've had before, it's going to be completely shifted where, I think people are going to realize, hey, did it make sense to have my employees drive an hour from home into the office to sit at a cubicle in front of a computer to do all that work when they could have just been doing it from home all along, and hang on for a sec.
Oh, you're
Speaking of,
I guess not.
Okay, buddy. Look, Uncle Ricky. Say hi, Ricky.
Hi.
But the outlook, you know what? When you ask about the outlook, right now all the attention right now is on screens. So the outlook really, in terms of digital marketing, social media, all of it, I mean, it's good in terms of all the eyeballs are here, and it's going to be all about engagement and relevancy now. And it's going to be on companies to be able to identify their audience, their customers, and how to best, talk to them.
Yeah.
In this new way, instead of just the old traditional way of just broadcasting, whether it's print, radio, or TV, just this kind of one-way approach to marketing yourselves or connecting with your customers. Now it really is going to be about engaging and being relevant, to be offering more than just specials or an offer.
Oh no, but it's interesting from a personal point of view. Ever since me and my sister lives in Seattle, ever since they got locked down a week earlier than us, and then we got locked down, Uncle Ricky has been doing a lot more FaceTimes. It's like, and the girls, they've just adapted to it. They're like, wait, when they wake up, they want to talk to me. I'm like, but it's 3 a.m. my time. Good thing is they finally learned time zones. But yeah, the new normal is going to be interesting. I was just chatting with someone who they had originally decided to open a restaurant, a physical restaurant earlier this year. But now with this COVID thing, they've decided to just become what did they call it? A virtual kitchen. Mm-hmm. That they don't have restaurant space anymore. It's just a kitchen that serves Uber Eats, Grubhub, that kind of stuff. You order it, they give it to it goes straight to them, which apparently the mainland is kind of a normal thing. It hasn't kicked off in Hawaii yet, but I guess this is the start of where we're going to see restaurants not having the physical space anymore. But the reason why I got pulled in was because we were talking about, so in the old days, we would have the mixers, right? The press days and stuff like that come down to the restaurant to experience it. The idea now is we'll deliver the food boxes. Right. And now that the governor signed that they can include alcohol with the delivery, they're thinking of prepackaging their cocktails to go with the food, to send it out to people. And that's just something that even last year was not something you could have imagined. Well, one thing, you couldn't sell alcohol off premises, but now that it's okay, it's interesting shift. I don't know, because Hawaii is so social, we are going to interact. I don't know if that's going to take over, but then seeing how many people are getting used to just being at home, I don't know, this might work. Introverts might win out.
It's as if everyone in the world has kind of adopted the lifestyle of what a lot of techies have been doing for a long time.
Burt Lum is joining in.
Well, now I gotta change my background.
Oh, there he is.
Cut my hair and...
Hey, Burt.
Hey, Burt.
You're muted, Burt. Oh, he's typing.
Oh, technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties, and Mark's muted. You're muted. Oh, there you are, Burt. So we're ready. Okay.
Hey, Burt. What's up, Burt?
So, where were we? I forget where we were.
The lifestyle.
We're recording. We're just talking. We're just talking story.
One thing I wanted to ask Mark was, what is intriguing to me from the digital advertising space, and obviously both of you guys are heavy players in this area, but when
is that a crack about my weight?
No. When companies or organizations advertise on, like, let's say Instagram, and it almost seems like their advertisements are pretty tone deaf. Like, and I wonder, right? Like, what is the person behind the scenes do? Like, was that ad automatically set to run and it's just running? or did someone think that it was a good idea to send this great photo of some place that we can all no longer go to, and well, some people, it might resonate with some people in terms of, wow, that's a beautiful shot. It turns other people off, like, or there's some product advertising that goes out and it's just kind of a turn off of the brand right now in a world where it's kind of like, it's just like being tone deaf, I guess, a little bit. And I wonder how you navigate those waters as a brand or a company. Like you mentioned about the kind of being authentic and other things. Like, how do you sell product in that environment? I'm curious to know what you guys think.
The first thing that I tweeted out, or one of the, and when this first, I guess, happened, right? One of the early things I tweeted out was that, you know what, if you're in charge of social media for a brand or for your own company, the first thing you got to do is you got to go and take a look at all of your scheduled posts.
Yep.
Because, you don't, like you said, I think the word tone deaf is exactly the word I would use. You don't want to be tone deaf to the situation where you've got things going out that is completely either irrelevant or will be offensive or just awkward, just plain awkward. And that's really on that person, whoever it is, whether it's yourself or your social media manager, to be able to, be aware, just have that self-awareness for the brand to know this is going to go out. Now that, this whole environment has changed, now that this whole situation is completely re-racked, is this appropriate? Is this how we want to present ourselves? And are we really, presenting, our product or ourselves in the way that, that is appropriate to the situation? So, that takes a lot of awareness, and you can't be on automatic pilot.
So does it make sense for brands to promote product in this kind of time, or should they promote more about their culture of, whatever the positives are about their culture or their brand?
That is a hard question, because look at all the car companies right now. Every single car company, we're here with you. If you want to buy a car, we'll have no problems delaying your payment if you buy a car now. But we're here with you. No, that's a hard call. That's up to the brand. But so Burt Lum is here. He is one of the gurus of technology in Hawaii, and you might have heard him on Bytemarks radio and some other stuff on TV, which I don't remember right now. But if you want to say anything else, Burt, go
He's
for
been
it.
He's been on too many things, that's why.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Ricky, you just blew your chance for me hiring you as my PR agent.
That's what Mark is for.
Yeah. So anyway, just FYI, the Hawaii News Now thing is a geek beat. But so what's the question again?
Well, the original question is, we're all kind of freelancers, and how are we surviving COVID in this crazy times? And sorry, Brian, is it okay for me to say that you just started being, just started right before?
Of course, yeah.
See, every one of us is certain age sort of in being freelancer. Burt, sorry, dude. You're the oldest freelancer. You've been doing this for years. I'm sort of part-time freelancer, part-time not. Mark in the same boat, part-time not, but he's been doing this for 3 years. And Brian, you're the baby. You just started this year, right before we got this round. But right before we got locked down. So it's just like, how are us different generations handling it? And to be honest, my answer is I got other jobs that can support me for now. If not, I'm dead.
The freelancing part I appreciate, because there's been periods in my career where for a large portion of it I've been working for corporations, and then there was a pretty good stint in there somewhere between 2011 and 2018, I was pretty much on my own, just gigging whatever kind of opportunities came up. the thing that is so radically different now is that, when you're freelancing, it's all about looking for the next opportunity. And whenever you're working a project, you always kind of got your eyes set on, what's my next gig, just so that you can make sure that you got some sort of pipeline. And the challenge, well, so before you would, you could go to events, whether it's things like, Wetware Wednesday or, gatherings of the tech community, and rub shoulders with, with your colleagues and find out like what's happening in town. And, there's always opportunities that come up. In fact, I remember, just walking down Bishop Street and somebody saying, "Hey, Burt, you wanna work over here? You wanna do something over here?" And, a lot of kind of opportunities serendipitously just fall in your lap. And the new reality that we live in, and all this isolation, those opportunities to kind of bump up against somebody to come up with a potential, gig is really rare. It's hard to come up with those kinds of opportunities just hanging out on Zoom calls.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I don't know how many times in the last few years I picked up gigs just because I was at a coffee shop that we are all familiar with, that, everyone gets their coffee there on Bishop Street, and I'm just like, "Hey, Ricky, what you doing?" "Not much."
Yeah,
"Why, you got a job?"
Right.
And then you get a job, right?
That's what I've been doing wrong all this time. Oh, I haven't been hanging out at the right coffee shop.
And technically, it's any coffee shop, just as long as it's on Bishop Street and people walk into it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is the, you just kind of have to play the numbers, right? And whether it's the popular coffee shop or just, like I said, walking down Bishop Street or hanging out at the next Wetware, you just gotta kind of play the community interaction numbers. And now when the whole idea of social distancing and, playing the community shoulder to shoulder interactions, I mean, that's pretty much out the window. So I think it's really super challenging to find, kind of independent gig work now.
So, do you think that COVID could be the end of the whole? I mean, it really started after 2010, right? The whole gig economy, everybody just freelancing, doing something. But do you think COVID could be the end of this? Because, people will get scared. They want
Well,
healthcare.
here's my opinion, and here's my opinion, and I think you guys ought to chime in on this. I think Mark and Brian, I mean, you guys are out there and you guys are making connections, and I think your connections have largely preceded you. I mean, the connections that you've made have happened before this whole coronavirus, and people are going to still need the expertise that you folks bring to the table. So I think there's a renewed effort in perhaps leveraging some of those contacts and finding new ways to build new contacts, because I don't think the gig economy is going to go away. I think it's just, before, when we were able to meet with each other, we could use the social interaction. But I think we got to figure out ways that you can leverage the contacts that you currently have and then find new ways of building new connections. I don't know what those necessarily are right now, but, there's definitely going to have to be more ways of us finding the tech resource or the talent resource that's out there. And how do we put that to good use in redesigning or recreating, the Hawaii economy, and especially the innovation sector. So it's not going to go away. We just got to figure out ways to, make do.
Yeah, and Burt, I agree with you, on that. When you think about it, one, I don't think it's going to go away, and one of the reasons being is because I think more than ever, now people, as a freelancer or as a digital nomad or as a, whatever you want to call it, right? People are now living the life that we've been living, right? Kind of, working remotely, right? And kind of being adaptable and using technology to your advantage to be able to connect and and to be able to provide services. If anything, I think this situation is going to kind of just add to that. There's going to be more people who are going to be, saying, look, I can work this way. I can make a lifestyle out of this. And at the same time, a lot of people got laid off from working at a company. They're going to, I think the gig economy and the gig situation is going to continue to live on because there's going to be a need for it and there's going to be demand for it. And you're going to have a lot of people with a lot of talent who's going to realize that, you know what, I got to survive and I got to make it on my own. Will everyone feel that way or think that way? No, but there's still going to be a lot of people who's going to say, you know what, I'm already making it happen now because I have to. And what Burt said about reactionary, that is so true. To this point, I think everyone has been reactionary. Whether you are a freelancer or not, we've been reactionary. I think this is a time that's going to give everybody a chance to kind of sit back and think about, okay, as a professional, what do I want to be? How do I want to be? How do I want to live and work and sustain and provide for my family? What kind of projects do I want to work on? What kind of, it's really, although it's downtime because you don't have as much going on, it's a chance for you to kind of self-reflect and think going forward, how can I become a better person, in terms of a professional, and how can I do my business, or how do I want to do my business better going forward? I don't know.
That's
like
one
that.
thing
Yeah.
you mentioned downtime, but I think that's one thing the office work, the traditional office workers are
Right.
finally realizing about our freelance lifestyle. You are not more free when you are at home. You are
Right, that's
working
true.
a lot harder,
Yeah.
a lot longer hours. And why? I mean, it's not why in a bad way, but it's just like you don't really know why. But all of a sudden, your 8-hour 9 to 5 job is now 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for some reason. And sometimes you're bored and you check the phone at 11 and you start working again, right?
Yeah, it's round the clock. I mean, I find myself, there's just no time now. It's no longer a 9 to 5 kind of mentality. It really is whenever you can, because you've got homeschooling going on, you've got this going on, and you're just trying to find whatever time just to sit down and come up with ideas or think to yourself. I mean, time is a premium, man. There's no boundaries anymore. So you're still right about that.
Another thing that's interesting that
So
you bring up, sorry, is
no, go ahead, Brian.
you mentioned sort of self-reflection, and now is a good time, Mark, to kind of go through that process. Before I dive into my thoughts on the gigsters and that kind of stuff, to talk about that a little bit, it's interesting for me during this time to use the self-reflection mentality to think about all the services that I used to use and consume that I may not need anymore. And I think that's probably scary for retail or some other businesses. But like when you're paying X number of dollars for things and it seemed like just status quo and that was the normal, and then now like you're without those services for 2 months now or whatever it's been, a month or 10 years, I lost count. Like you kind of wonder, like, do I need to keep paying for that? Like, do I need that? Is that really necessary? And it's almost like this forced cleansing that we've all kind of gone through. And some services, I think when we come out on the other side, I'm not going to renew. Like, I'm not going to need anymore. And then there'll be other ones that I will need. But like I think spending habits or kind of like luxury spending, things that we don't have to spend on might morph after this is done to things that are completely different. And we kind of been forced into a situation where we've been put through this sieve of like, do we need it? Do we not need it? Haven't used it for 6 weeks. Do I really need to pay for it? That kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting for me to think about, because there'll be things that I'm probably going to cancel. I don't need it anymore. I don't know what you guys think about that. Like gym membership. I'm not going to renew my gym membership.
Yes, because running is gross. Scientific studies have proven.
But paying
Well, you don't need a gym to run.
paying for a lot of money for a gym when like we've been locked at home, so I've been working out at home,
Right.
and I've been measuring and stuff, and it's like I can burn maybe not the same amount of calories, get the same quality of workout, but I'm actually saving a ton of money. So that's the first thing to go. And then the thing that is probably worrisome to the restart of the economy is like, do I really should I continue my rent at the Sandbox? Like, I pay for parking and rent, and it's a great place and I love it. But in the sort of the new world, is it is it worth it to have a physical office when I've been working the last 6 weeks from home 100% of the time and been nearly as successful, right? I mean, there's things that are not here that are there. Then it's the trade-off of the dollars spent for those services and whether it's worth it. So I wonder, like, will I renew? Will I keep paying? Will I just work from home? Like, will this just be my new reality?
You know what? That's kind of funny you brought up the working space, because I was chatting with one of my friends on the mainland. Granted, mainland is colder than Hawaii, but he was in the same boat. He used to rent space in whatever co-working thing is in his city, right? But now that he's stuck at home, he's realized I can just work from home more and more. So he went to Home Depot to buy one of those extra wide sheds kind of thing, the gardening
okay.
shed,
Okay.
sitting up in his backyard, cut out a hole for an air conditioner, and that's his office. And he goes, this is my office from now on.
Yeah.
He fit in a desk, he fit in everything he needs. So I'm like, yeah, there's an idea.
Yeah. I mean, there's things that you won't be able to be privy to, like the things that Burt mentioned, all the serendipitous water cooler conversations and people that you meet and connections and introductions. But then on the flip side, there's hundreds of dollars a month that you're saving, and then how do you quantify those connections, and is it kind of worth it? Is it not worth it? And the future remains to be seen. I don't know if I'll go back. I plan on staying at the Sandbox because I liked it there a lot. But I wonder. And it gives you a moment of pause because this is like you said earlier, the new normal. And I don't know. It's interesting to me to think about these things because I wasn't even considering it before. 6 weeks ago, no brainer. Of course I'd stay. And now weeks and weeks in, I'm like, I don't know. Doing pretty well without it. Depending on what business is like and depending on what the economy is like, maybe it makes sense to cut costs even more as part of the survival tactic to keep running, lower overhead, that kind of stuff. So interesting times.
Yeah, very interesting times. I think people, when you're forced to, we adapt, we survive, going to a more of a minimalistic, way of life, kind of, sheds a light on a lot of the excess that, because you kind of take for granted a lot of things and you just kind of go with it, right? But, this really is a time to kind of pause and rethink things. I mean, it's funny, as you kind of were, as you kind of mentioned all that stuff that you're thinking of maybe canceling, I just had a conversation with my wife, like, a couple of days ago, and I had ordered online from Amazon electric clippers, because I need a haircut pretty badly, right? And I told her, well, I can't.
That's why you got a hat on.
That's why I got the hat on. It's pretty bushy, right? So I'm telling her, I'm putting a lot of trust in you. I'm going to put these clippers in your hand, and but if this goes well, I might not have to see my barber anymore. Because my hair is pretty basic, typical Asian hair, right? Where it's you just gotta cut it down and trim it, right? Right? So I told her, I said, look, this goes well, I might not even have to go spend that money anymore, which I feel bad because I've been seeing my barber for the longest time, and I still want to help her out. But really, I mean, who knows how long this is gonna last? And it's things like that that kind of makes you think, do I really need to do those things? Because mainly I did it out of habit. And I'm totally a creature of habit, so I don't know. And we cook more than ever before.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing too, right? You want to help out the local restaurants too, but at the same time, people are forced into baking and cooking. And, I've got some friends who said, you know what, I never cooked as much as I do now, but honestly, I kind of enjoy looking for recipes and learning how to cook things that I thought, wow, I'd never be able to cook that. And suddenly they're realizing it wasn't that hard.
Yeah,
so
that's cool. A lot of positives.
I don't know if this is flip side, but it was something interesting because I just recently talked to my hairdresser again. I saw them online and asked them how they're doing, and they're considering not reopening their store anymore because they've realized they can just go to people's houses, cut their hair there, and they don't, like Brian said, they don't have to spend the thousands of dollars of renting a storefront on Bishop Street, where they are. Of course, since I live in an apartment, I'm like, no, you can't do that. I need to go to a place. I don't want to be the one cleaning up the hair. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what of our traditional businesses will switch over to more of a mobiles mobile delivery kind of thing. It's interesting. It's
You know,
I know a lot
that
of
thought did cross my mind about, getting clippers. And the thought process that I went through was, okay, so if I get clippers, I probably wouldn't want my wife to have to do the deed. I'd want to try to do it myself. But what kind of hairstyle would I actually give myself? And I
Do
actually,
it, Bert. Do it.
the friend of mine, one of my friends, up in Waimanalo, they got that's where we set up this community network, and he's got this awesome mohawk. I was thinking, that can't be that hard to cut, man. You know what I mean? All you gotta do is go up the sides, and then you get the middle, and you're done.
Right.
But I chickened out.
Worst comes to worst, you
Oh.
just cut it all off, right? And then it's
Yeah.
totally low maintenance.
You just got to commit
Right,
that if you
right.
make a mistake, you're bald for 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
Those clippers
Yeah,
actually, like
yeah.
that I saw that I bought on Amazon, it talks about how you can use it. It's designed so you can do it yourself. So it's got the guards, that are angled a certain way so that when you're doing it yourself, supposedly. So I don't know. I got to play around with it. And the next time you see me, if you see all these rat bites, that it
If you're
went
still in
wrong.
a hat, we'll know it went badly.
Right. If I still have the
Yeah.
hat on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw one of these silly idea. It is one of those YouTube shows that talk about silly startup ideas, but it's something I'm like, maybe they'll actually have a life in this current situation. You know how we always make the joke about you just put the bowl on your head and you shave around the bowl, but these are templates that you put over your head and you shave around the template.
That is cool.
And it's not just bowl shape; it's different hairstyle shape. I'm like, that might make money depending if this is like a 3-month lockdown.
Interesting.
Well, I think the kids would actually definitely go for that. I mean, let's say you had a template for like a star, or even the Nike swoosh or something. I mean, I think they do it.
And if you mess up, no one will see
So
it.
I got a question. And maybe we'll start with Brian. But I think everybody on this call has leveraged social media for various applications and for varying lengths of time. And I know Mark and Ricky. I mean, you guys work with the social media diva. I mean, she's like
Maven,
the
social
queen
media
of
maven.
social media. Yeah,
Queen of
and
social-
and
yeah.
if you think about how many connections she's made, and the name will go unspoken. She has created a incredible kind of just network and momentum that can probably carry her through this period. So I know, Brian, I'm curious, given your love-hate relationship with social media, what role does it play in your life now?
It's a great question. I think
I had some
currently,
practice because I do the radio show.
I guess so. That was like straight out of Bytemarks Cafe. It serves as a means to communicate what is going on with the company primarily. I mean, that was what I restarted it for, was to be able to share what we're doing, who's doing it, and a little bit of behind the scenes, and a little bit of sharing on some of the technologies that we are playing with. That was the original intention. Kind of lost our way with all of this, and there's not a lot of cool things to show that we're doing. Then we work with some startups and we're not allowed to show anything at all anyway. So originally what I wanted was a way to showcase work, people, and tech. Like this is cool tech that we're working on. Like, oh, we're learning to do, this particular thing for this particular problem, and this particular startup for this particular solution, et cetera, et cetera. That was the original intention. And as a consumer, it's great to just kind of be able to understand what's going on. I don't, I'm not in the space like Ricky and Mark are, with using it or needing to use it, or even leveraging it for any kind of social advertising or anything like that. It was more just like brand recognition. More like I've been away from Tapiki for a while. People have probably forgotten what we did or what we used to do. And it was a way to kind of bring some attention and light back to that.
Well, hold that thought. Hey, Mark, I saw
Yeah.
you were talking to your wife. You got to go?
In about 10 minutes.
Okay.
In about
Right.
5 or 10 minutes. Yeah. So I guess let me kind of chime in and dovetail off of Brian before I do have to go. But, off of what Burt was asking. Um, for me, and because I am coming from a different space, Ricky and I, but when you think about where we are right now in the situation that we're in, right? Social distancing, that term in itself is kind of oxymoronic, if that's even a word, right? Because we're physically distant, from each other, or it's recommended to be physically distant. But, in my opinion, I think now more than ever, I think people need that connection, right? We don't have the physical connections anymore, but more than ever, people need the connection, whether it's through social media, right? Or anything else. And I think the same goes not just for individuals, but also for companies, because, now you really want to be able to connect with your customers, your user base, to be able to communicate who you are and what you stand for. And you kind of, it's no longer just a brand and a product and a service. It cannot just be, that black and white. You kind of need to be able to show who you are and the people behind your brand, to kind of communicate your philosophy. And that's going to be the point of differentiation, because anyone can keep promoting their brand, but I think you really need to connect with people. And I think social media, like I said, now more than ever, I think it's very relevant, and where people looked at it as a luxury and it's a nice to have. We'll pay a kid $50 a month to take care of our social media. He's in school, or she's, an intern, or it's my niece. But I think going forward, the seriousness of the fact that social media is really just like any other media platform. It's just, it's just on a different palette, right? You're still talking to an audience. You still, have to kind of, consider, who your audience is, how you're going to target them, and what you're going to talk to them about. But it's like anything else. It's like TV, radio, and print. It's just on a different palette. And yeah.
Interesting.
I'm going to come at it from a different point of view. I've been using this time of, since we're social distancing, reconnecting with friends I haven't talked to in 10 years. That's great with social media. It's not a bad thing. I'm just like, it's minor to what I'm doing. Is that I'm watching how misinformation and fighting misinformation right now, and bots and everything like that, it's a scary playing field out there. And I have no idea, as we get closer to the elections, how we are going to keep it sane on the internet. Good job that Facebook and Twitter and Google and Apple are teaming up or forming partnerships to fight information about disinformation about COVID. But the speed you see something just do that one day, and within the same day, it's blanketed social media, is just scaring. It's I've been here for 10, almost a little over 10 years, and it's just like, man, what have we done to ourselves?
Interesting.
Yeah. I feel it feels like that point in War Games in the movie when the computer is doing all the tic-tac-toe thing, and it hasn't quite reached the stage where the only way to win is not to play. It feels like we're reaching that point.
Interesting.
Shall we play a game? Hey guys, I gotta run, but it was good talking to you all, and good seeing you, Brian. Good to see you again after so many years.
Burt,
I
a long
haven't seen
time.
you in a long time, but I see you guys, on TV doing the Geek Beat. So keep it up, man.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Okay, Ricky. I'll
Yeah,
talk
Mark.
to you.
See you in the office.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. So, what do you guys want to talk about now?
So, well, I mean, I do agree with Mark to some extent that social media is still a media tool that we need to leverage and take advantage of and try to help get your story out there. But I do agree with you, Ricky. I mean, there is a lot of it's like a cesspool out there. And, how do you get your message above that cesspool? To be honest, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't spend as much time as I would like to. I try to put stuff out on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm sort of in and out, but you know what actually kind of keeps me sane, Ricky, is your posts, because I see some of your posts and I see you railing against the retards out there, and I just love it.
Yeah.
I mean, the last one, that the recent one that Ricky put out there, was that all these people that are protesting, and they're claiming that the government is taking away their rights and their civil liberties, and they should be able to go out and congregate and and go back to work and have their old life back together again. And he called them the branch Covidians. I thought that was a great play on words.
Yeah. No, the longer this lockdown occurs, the more my grouchy old man comes out, and just like, I know people don't intend to be malicious, but just sometimes it's like, you know what? Stop it. You just want to just shake them like, stop it. Yeah.
Yeah, the thoughts that go through my head, I would love to post them, but I'm a strong believer in karma, and I just don't want to chance my
See,
karmic.
Bert, that's what this beard is. This is me donating money. Oh, there's sirens. Sorry.
They're coming after you.
Also, I mean, the
They
story with
found
the
you,
beard
Ricky,
is
they
I'm
found you.
donating my lunch money to charities every day because I budgeted this lunch money, so in my head it's already spent. So why should I keep it, right? So I'm donating it to charity. And this is my karma shield, because this is $180 right now.
Karma shield.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm one of those fuckers that don't grow a karma shield.
No, but yeah, I mean, there's so many times where I just sent something to Brian the other day where people genuinely want to help, but the way that they're choosing to help could hurt more people. And when you talk to them about it, they just shut you out, and you're like, no, you could seriously kill someone by doing that. And they're just like, you just don't want to help. Like, oh, okay, dude, whatever's.
Yeah.
So, Brian, as the youngest of the freelancers, do you have any wisdom to other freelancers who, this is honestly what, your second, third round as a freelancer?
Doing it long time, but I think that now is the time. And this is how I'm approaching it. Like, if I'm not really filled with downtime, I'm actually almost as busy as I've always been. For now, I think the future is uncertain, right? And work is slowing down. But now is the time that I'm spending to strategically place myself in the best position possible when things return to normal. So what I've been spending my time on is learning all the skill sets that I've just never had time to do in the past. That I'm trying to either learn, pass for certification, or just get an understanding. So I'm studying all of these subjects now, and I'm also like exercising really hard. I want to come out of this stronger, faster, better, smarter. And I've been given this opportunity of I'm not going to baseball games on the weekends to take my son to play. I don't have to go to this. I don't have to go to that. I don't have client meet. My calendar is pretty wide open. If I was to squander this time, I think that would be wasteful. Like, I'm not saying, I know there's a lot of talk out there about, like, you shouldn't feel bad if you're not doing something to advance your career, or you shouldn't feel bad if you're not working extra hard, or you shouldn't feel, I understand that mentality as well. But to me, this is the time to train. Like, if this is a battle and we're going to war in 6 months, this would be the time when you're like training, right? In all the movies, this is where we learn to shoot a bow and arrow. This is where we learn to chop wood with a sword, whatever it is, whatever the analogy is, this is the time to sharpen the skills that you think are going to be useful in the future. And I'm predicting that the skills for me will be any of the digital channel type stuff, like building for the cloud, building web apps on cloud infrastructure, building machine learning, auto ML, all of that kind of stuff is things that I need to learn now, so that when companies are ready to build products that need these technologies, need to use this SDK, needs to be built on this cloud platform, I can be like, oh, we got it. Like, we got it. I can help you. I can help you there. To try and get those skills then will be too late because there'll be someone else who already has those skills. So to me, it's like, this is the time when you sort of forge your skill set and you sort of learn the things that you didn't have time to do before because you're either so busy or just kind of filled with life, right? That we're not filled with anymore. It's prime opportunity. So I spent actually quite a bit of money on like paid services for like tutorials. But I've been going through a bunch, and there's some apps that I've always wanted to learn. Like I'm a Photoshop expert, but I've never been good on Sketch. And Sketch is sort of the Photoshop for the future, right? So I'm like learning Sketch. I'm combining a lot of free online tutorials with like paid content. There's some great YouTube channels. So I'm like learning Google Firebase and that stuff, Google Cloud Platform through YouTube freebies, learning, you know, AWS and other things through like Linux Academy. And I'm just trying to fortify and gather skills so that when the economy recovers, companies need digital channel products, that I can be there and say, hey, we're ready. You know, we got this. So that's my advice, is not to squander this time, and to you've been given an opportunity to sort of, with all of this free time, or, you know, with all of this time, you have a great opportunity and great resources out there to make yourself better. There's more online learning content than I can ever consume, right? Like you can learn so much. You got to leverage that. And so much of it is free. That's my advice.
Well, I was going to go with asking Mark as the middle-aged freelancer what to do, but since he's not here anymore, I'll go with my advice of, you know, do everything Brian said, but at the same time, stop beating yourself up that you didn't create the 2 months of savings that you were supposed to do before the storm hit. Yes, you were supposed to do that, but now that you can't do that anymore, this is the time when you start pivoting, where you find other jobs, even the ones that you thought were too beneath you last month. Just freaking do it because it's paying, right? That's my medium advice. And then after we get out of this, go build your 2 months of savings that you were supposed to have to weather the storm. So next we go to the distinguished gentleman,
the guru
of the group of the freelancers. What is your advice?
Well, you know, I agree with Brian, and you gotta take all of this challenge, whether it was pre-coronavirus or during the coronavirus, to train and be as equipped through all the challenges that you are facing, to be able to, you know, like that story goes, right? You have the 10 swordsmen, and you got to fight them all, and you got to be able to, you know, take one and then move on to the next one. And now is probably the best time to put that into action. The other thing, Brian, I think that you have, and you too, Ricky, you guys have a lot going for you, and this is integrity and reputation. And what will live beyond, you know, this whole crisis is how you folks are perceived in the community. And I think you know, as long as you guys maintain that level of integrity and honesty and truthfulness in what it is that you do and deliver, and are able to continue to live up to those expectations, I think you'll be fine. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, regardless of whether we're in this crisis or not, I mean, there's a lot of people that you just can't really trust out there. I mean, you don't know what these people are, you know, especially in this kind of wild west of business. I mean, and if there's a level of trust that you can actually
no names
deliver. No. I mean, and you know, for any of you guys, I mean, if I can help, you know, write a letter of recommendation or whatever, you know, I mean, I think you guys are top notch. So, you know, that's kind of something that I would definitely do.
On that note, you'd be surprised how many times we've been hired to pick up the pieces from someone that has just bailed out, flaked out, overpromised. I mean, I would say in the early days, like a third of our work was just like someone is trying to get out of a developer relationship because the developer they hired is screwing them over. And like they need help because like they're stuck now. They spent all of this money and got like they spent this money and got this product, and they need help because now they're in a space where they're running out of budget and they've got a long way to go. And that's happened a ton of times. Not since I've restarted, but I remember in the early days, there was a lot of that going on. So you're right.
Actually, that's good advice for.
Yeah, it's good advice.
I mean, not to be mean, and I don't mean to go scalp someone else's work, but there's on the photography side too. There's been a lot of times where they hire a photographer who. Artists have a specific personality, and sometimes they don't deliver what the client wants. They deliver what they want. We'll say that, right? And sometimes the client goes, "Oh, I mean, it's artistic and it's great and it's beautiful, but I really just needed a picture of a can next to our shop." Right?
Yeah.
And there were times where I'm just like, you know what? I don't have the $400 I need to make rent that month. I'll shoot your can for $400 if that's okay. And then later on, they'll just come back to me and go like, "We love the work you did. Well, we like that you can follow instructions. Could you come shoot for us for some more?" Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because you meet expectations. You're meeting
expectations.
meeting a need, right? Like because a lot of times expectations of a client are not met, and then they're stuck because they've spent money to get to that point. Like they hired the other photographer, and now they're out whatever X number of dollars, and then they have to spend even more to get what they really wanted, right? That's hard. Yeah.
All right, we're coming up to an hour, so
it's nice chatting with you guys.
Yeah, it's nice chatting.
It's been fun.
Do you have
Thanks
any
for
closing
setting us up,
thoughts? No, this was a great idea. And
so Ricky, how are you gonna repurpose this? I mean, are you gonna put it out on a video blog,
I'm going
or are you gonna? What are you gonna do?
I'm going to cut out the beginning part where we were talking crap about you, and then just jump to my YouTube intro and just snip it and put it up on YouTube. That's it. Because really, the whole idea of this is my channel has had no content for like 6 weeks because I can't go out to fly my drone, so I might as well find something else to do. Plus, I got a paid Zoom account, so I might as well use it.
No, and again, this is an innovative way of sharing stuff with people, and you build an audience, and who knows, maybe some serendipity will follow.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
All right.
It's nice seeing you guys.
Okay, thanks, Ricky.
Do you have any stuff you want to promote, by the way? Any links you want to push or something, side project?
Nope, not at this time. Thanks, though.
Okay.
Well, anybody can listen to Hawaii Public Radio 6:30 on Wednesday, HPR1, if you want to hear more of my voice.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.
See you guys.